Hey, what's up y'all? Reactive Training Systems Coach Ross Lepole here. Today I want to talk with you all about the pursuit of technical mastery. It's talked about a lot in a lot of different areas and a lot of different ways in the sport. Technique is important. What is for one person might not be for another person. And this goes far beyond sumo versus conventional. This is even just a slight tweak in the way you hold your foot in a squat. There's little nuances that matter. That's one of the reasons we talk about the self-organizing technique, because there's little things that a person is going to be able to feel that you can't necessarily see whether it's efficient or not, or whether that's your strongest position or not. We have to be able to feel those things. And I think when we hold the view and look at the pursuit of technical mastery, that can be an important perspective in that self-organizing technique as well. I think it's common that a lot of people look at the pursuit of technical mastery as, when I become a technical master, when I get to that point, my squat's done. That's it, that's my squat, that's my deadlift, that's my bench press. And I don't believe that. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's healthy. To me, in my opinion, I think thinking about it as a place when you get to this point in your squat that it's done, that to me creates a lot of paralysis by analysis. Why? Because in that language, we're pursuing perfection. We're pursuing a spot that when we get there, we're done. And I don't believe that that spot exists at all. Let's think about it from the laws of physics. We use the laws of physics all the time in lifting to address weak range of motion, gravity, the laws of gravity. Gravity is the thing that we're fighting against. Gravity is the thing that we want to overcome when we load up that barbell and put it on our backs. We got to overcome the forces due to gravity. We have to be able to put out more force with our body and our muscles than what gravity imposes on us. So let's look at it through the lens of physics. One of the laws of physics is an object in motion stays in motion. And while we don't really see that as being universally true here on Earth, the reason why we don't see that is because of the friction. There's friction between objects, and there's frictions between objects when we don't even see the object. For example, air. You feel airflow. That is also a form of friction. There is the wind friction. And that's really the only reason why on Earth an object in motion doesn't necessarily stay in motion. In a vacuum, in a simulated world without that air friction, an object in motion will stay in motion unless something else acts upon it. And if we think about a pendulum, if you put a pendulum in that vacuum, it would swing back and forth the same distance the entire time. It would never stop moving, and it would stay in that same distance. And I think therein lies the perfect analogy. When we first start lifting, we learn different cues, we learn different techniques, we learn different things. And our lifting in those earlier stages has these wild swings back and forth, and it's kind of all over the place. The pursuit of technical mastery is not the goal of stopping that pendulum from swinging. The goal is to reduce the swing of that pendulum. It never stops moving, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna reduce that oscillation, the size of that oscillation over time so that it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, so that it's just a slight oscillation. Why does that matter? Why is that important? Technical mastery is not getting to a spot where your lift is done. Technical mastery is about getting to a place with your lifting that you know it so well and so intimately that when you're moving through space, you know where you're at. You know when you're hit depth. You don't need a referee to give you a light or not. You know it. You felt it. Lifters who've been lifting for a long time know that feeling very well when you cut a squat a little bit short and you look up, did they see it? I hope they didn't see it. Red lights, they saw it. You know, that's important to develop. We must develop that awareness, and that's technical mastery. To know if you're bench pressing where your elbow is, to know if that's in your position where you are the strongest. That's important. Another reason why that is important is because we need to be able to make those micro adjustments. Days where we feel off a little bit. Maybe that off a little bit is just we need to make our foot just slightly more open in that squat stance. Boom, then it starts clicking. We need to be able to know and feel when we're in our most optimal position or not. And again, that to me is that pursuit of technical mastery, because there's gonna be errors along the way. And we're gonna find that spot where we feel our best and our strongest today. And there might be some things that change and we might not be in that position forever. We are an evolving, changing organism. We might get injured. We might stay healthy. It doesn't matter. When we find that position, it's not always going to remain the same forever and ever. One of the examples that I like to bring up with people I work with is every now and again, I'll get a little bit of like tight pec action, tendonitis, whatever you want to call it. The biggest thing that fixes that almost immediately as soon as I start to feel it coming on is I bring my grip in a little bit. Instead of loading up the pecs, I'll get a little bit more arm involvement in there, and it resolves that just almost immediately. And that's what experience teaches us. That's what that pursuit of that technical mastery can bring to us and add that value to our training, is we can make those micro adjustments along the way. Those are things that nobody's going to be able to look at a video or look in your training in person and be like, oh, you need to move your foot 1 degree more open, or bring your feet 1 inch narrower, bring your grip 1 finger narrower or 1 finger wider. No, you're going to have to find your way to feeling that and knowing that that's your strongest position possible. The only way we can do that is through, again, this is that pursuit of technical mastery. When you get so intimate with your lift that you know when you're in that position, you feel it. You're like, oh yeah, all right, cool. I feel locked in. I feel invincible, for lack of a better word. And we can just move the weight and display the full potential of what we're feeling and what we think is our full potential of strength right now today. And again, that's going to change and evolve over time. That's the pursuit. The ability to be flexible within that journey. Sure, there's standards, depth, butt on the bench, things of that nature that are standard across the board. But when we get further down that road, we need to be able to know if our wrist is turned in the right angle or not. We need to be able to feel if the elbow is following the bar or if it's preceding the bar. Things of that nature are really beneficial and add a ton of value to the pursuit of strength and your journey with strength training. So I want to encourage you to remember to think about the pursuit of technical mastery as the reduction of that swing to a slight oscillation. It's not a point that you get to and you're done. It's a constant evolving, micro-changing, micro-adjusting skill and ability. And it's something that you have to attain over time. It's not something anybody can give to you. You just got to log the hours in. And I wish you all the best in logging those hours. I hope that this helps you in your pursuit of technical mastery and your pursuit of strength. Thanks for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your friends. We'll see you all in the next one.